Commander Rion stood quietly in the command room of the Earth Coalition's flagship. Outside the large window, the stars stretched in endless blackness. The bright dots of distant suns twinkled far away, and the ship itself seemed small in the vastness of space. Rion felt a mix of nerves and determination. Today was the start of a mission that could change everything. Rion was not a man who often showed his feelings. He was calm, focused, and respected by everyone who knew him. He had spent years training for this moment. The Earth Coalition had trusted him with one of the most important jobs in the galaxy. Now, he was ready. His mission was to find and rescue Princess Nira of the Zolari Empire. The Zolari were a proud and ancient alien race with blue skin and shining silver eyes. Their empire was powerful, but had recently fallen into chaos. The princess had been captured by enemies who wanted to use her as a tool for war. The Coalition feared that if she remained a prisoner, it could start a conflict that would spread across the stars. Rion knew the risks. The journey to the distant Zolari system was long, and the enemy was clever and dangerous. But he also knew this mission was about more than just politics or war. It was about saving a life and possibly saving peace. The briefing room had been filled with maps, star charts, and messages from the Coalition's leaders. Rion had studied every detail carefully. He understood the route, the dangers, and the people involved. Now, he had to act out as the ship prepared to leave. Rion walked through the corridors to the bridge. His team was ready. They were skilled and loyal, but they looked to Rion for strength and guidance. He gave each of them a steady nod. There was no room for fear on this mission. "Commander," said Mira, the ship's navigator. Her voice was calm but serious. "All systems are ready. We are clear for jump to the Zolari system." Rion took a deep breath. "Good. Let's make this quick and clean. We have to find the princess and bring her home." The captain of the ship, an older man named Arlen, joined them on the bridge. "Rion, remember this mission is critical. The Coalition is counting on you. We expect success." Rion met Arlen's eyes. "I won't let you down." The ship's engines hummed softly as the starship moved into position. With a burst of light, they jumped through space faster than the speed of light. The stars stretched into long lines as the ship traveled through the dark sea of the galaxy. Rion stared at the stars. His mind was filled with questions. What kind of person was this princess? What was her life like before she was taken? Would she trust him? He did not know, but he was ready to learn. Hours passed. The silence of space was broken only by the steady sounds of the ship's instruments. Finally, the distant Zolari system appeared on their sensors. "It's beautiful," Mira said quietly. On the screen, a glowing blue planet appeared, surrounded by moons and strange rings. "Keep your eyes open," Rion said. "We don't know what's waiting for us." They moved closer to the planet. The tension on the bridge grew. Suddenly, the sensors picked up a faint signal. It was a distress call, weak but real. "That must be her," said Rion, his voice low. "Princess Nira." The team worked quickly to trace the signal. It led them to a hidden base deep in a dense jungle on the planet's surface. The base was small and well hidden, clearly. Someone did not want anyone to find it. Rion ordered the ship to stay in orbit while he and a small team prepared for landing. They suited up, checking their weapons and equipment. The jungle was thick and strange. The air was heavy with the smell of unknown plants and distant rains. As they moved through the trees, Rion felt the weight of the mission more than ever. This was no longer about strategy or politics. This was about finding a person in need. Suddenly, a figure appeared ahead. It was Nira. She was tall, with shining silver eyes and hair that seemed to glow under the alien sun. But she was not just a princess in need of rescue. There was strength in her eyes, a quiet power. Rion stepped forward carefully. "Princess Nira, I am Commander Rion of the Earth Coalition. We have come to take you home." Nira looked at him, steady and unafraid. "I know why you are here," she said softly. "But this mission is not simple. I cannot leave yet." Rion was surprised. "Why not?" Nira looked away for a moment, then back. "Because if I leave now, my people will fall into chaos. The enemy is stronger than you know." Rian felt the weight of her words. This was no simple rescue. It was the start of something much bigger. We will protect you, he said firmly. Together, we can end this. Nira nodded slowly. Then let us move quickly. There's little time. As they made their way back to the ship, Rian looked at the princess. He felt something shift inside him, a mix of admiration and something new. He had come to save her, but already he knew this mission would change him forever. Commander Rian guided the small team carefully through the thick alien jungle. The trees were tall and twisted, their leaves glowing softly in the twilight. Strange sounds echoed around them, chirps and calls of unknown creatures. The air was heavy and humid, making each breath feel warm and sticky. The jungle was beautiful but dangerous. Princess Nira moved with confidence through the forest. She knew this place well, even though it had changed since her capture. Her silver eyes scanned the shadows. She was quiet but alert, never letting her guard down. Rian watched her closely. He had been trained to be ready for anything, but Nira was unlike anyone he had ever met. She was calm and strong, but there was a sadness behind her eyes. He wanted to understand her better. We need to keep moving, Nira said softly. The enemy is not far behind. Rian nodded. How did you manage to escape? Nira's lips pressed together. I did not escape. They left me here, thinking no one would find me. But I never gave up hope. The team moved forward, stepping carefully over roots and strange plants. Every sound made Rian's heart beat faster. He was used to danger, but this felt different. There was more at stake than just a mission. There was a life that needed saving. Suddenly, the trees opened into a small clearing. In the center stood a strange structure, half hidden by vines and moss. It looked old, but well-built. Nira paused, her eyes searching the building. This is where they held me, she said. I was locked inside for many days. Rian looked at the door. It was made of a strong metal he had never seen before. There were no signs of a key or lock, but he knew technology could be more advanced than he imagined. Let me see if I can open it, he said. He pulled a small tool from his belt and started working on the door's edge. The others stood ready, weapons drawn. They had no idea if enemies were waiting nearby. Every second felt like a test of patience and courage. After a few minutes, the door slowly hissed and slid open. Inside was a small room. It smelled faintly of cold metal and damp air. There were old marks on the floor, signs of where Nira had been held. She stepped inside, touching the walls gently. This was my prison. But I never lost hope. Rian felt a deep respect for her. She was brave beyond words. We should rest here for a moment, Nira said. We cannot rush. The enemy will come looking soon. Rian agreed. They set up a small camp near the clearing. The team prepared food and water, and Rian sat down next to Nira. Tell me about your people, he asked. I want to understand why this mission is so important. Nira looked at him with a small smile. The Zalari have lived in this system for thousands of years. We value peace and knowledge. But there are those who want to destroy that peace for their own gain. Rian listened carefully. He could see the pride in her voice and the sadness beneath it. He realized this was more than a rescue mission. It was a fight for survival. As night fell, the jungle became even more alive. Strange lights flickered in the trees, and distant sounds grew louder. Rian kept his eyes open, watching for any sign of danger. Nira sat close to him. You are different from the others, she said quietly. You do not see me as just a princess or a symbol. You see me as a person. Rian looked at her, surprised. I am here to protect you, not to judge. She smiled faintly. Thank you. They talked late into the night, sharing stories of their lives. Rian told her about Earth and the Coalition's efforts to keep peace in the galaxy. Nira spoke of her home, the beauty of the Zalari cities, and the hope she held for her people's future. For the first time, Rian felt something he had never expected on a mission, a connection, a spark of something deeper than duty or duty. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps in the distance broke the quiet. Everyone stood up quickly, weapons ready. Enemies, whispered Nira. They have found us. Rian's heart raced. The team moved into position, using the jungle's shadows for cover. The footsteps grew closer. "Prepare yourselves," Ryun said calmly. "We fight together." The first enemy appeared, a tall figure in dark armor. Moving silently through the trees, Ryun fired his weapon, the bright beam cutting through the darkness. The enemy fell, but more came running. The fight was fierce but quick. Ryun's team was trained and skilled. They worked as one, protecting Nira at all costs. When the last enemy fell, the jungle returned to silence. The team was safe, but the danger was clear. "We cannot stay here," Ryun said. "We must move." Nira nodded. "There is a hidden cave nearby. It is safe. I will lead you." They moved quickly through the forest, guided by Nira's knowledge. The cave was cool and dark, a perfect shelter. Inside, they rested and planned their next move. Ryun looked at Nira. "You are stronger than I thought." She smiled softly. "You have not seen everything yet." For a moment, the two of them were silent, sharing a quiet understanding. This mission was no longer just about rescue. It was about trust, hope, and something neither of them expected. Outside, the jungle waited. The stars shone high above. The journey had just begun. The hidden cave was quiet and cool, offering a moment of safety for Commander Ryun and Princess Nira. Outside, the jungle's noises faded into the distance. Inside, the small group took a chance to rest and prepare for what was next. The fight earlier had been close, but they had survived. For now, Ryun sat near the entrance, cleaning his weapon carefully. He kept his eyes on the shadows beyond the cave mouth. He was a soldier, trained to expect danger at every turn. But today, he also felt something else, an unusual sense of calm when near Nira. Nira sat on a smooth rock nearby, her silver eyes reflecting the dim light. She seemed calm but alert, always thinking ahead. Ryun wondered what she was feeling. Was she afraid, hopeful, or something else? "We cannot stay here long," Nira said quietly. "The enemy will search for me all over this planet. They will not stop until they find me again." Ryun nodded. "We need a plan to get you off this world safely." Nira looked up at him, her eyes serious. "I know a place where we can hide for a while. A settlement far from the enemy's reach. But the journey will be dangerous." Ryun smiled faintly. "Danger is what I'm used to. Let's go." Before leaving the cave, Ryun gathered the small team. Everyone checked their gear and weapons. Mira, the navigator, double-checked the maps stored in her datapad. The others prepared for the journey through the jungle. They moved quietly, careful, not to make noise. The jungle was thick, and the path was not easy. Branches scraped their faces and arms. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows, curious but not aggressive. As they walked, Nira spoke about the Zolari settlement. "It is a place of peace. My people who remain loyal live there. They will protect us." Ryun listened. He could hear the hope in her voice. This was more than a mission for her. It was her home, her family, and her future. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. A low rumble grew louder, shaking the trees. The team stopped, alert and ready. "What is that?" Mira asked, her voice tense. Nira's face darkened. "The enemy has sent machines, large, heavy walkers to track us. We must move faster." Ryun's heart quickened. The enemy was closing in. They needed to escape, and quickly. The team increased their pace. The jungle seemed to close in around them, as the loud sounds of machines followed. Ryun's mind raced, searching for a way out. "Follow me," Nira said firmly. She led them toward a narrow river cutting through the forest. The water was fast and cold, but it was their best chance to hide. The team reached the river just as the enemy machines appeared, stomping through the trees with heavy steps. The sound was terrifying. Ryun helped Nira into the water first. "Stay low," he warned. "We'll move along the river bank." They moved quickly, slipping through the thick bushes beside the rushing water. The enemy was close, but had difficulty following through the river's rough edges. After some time, they reached a small cave behind a waterfall. The rushing water hid the entrance perfectly. "This will be our shelter," Nira said. "The enemy will not see us here." Inside the cave, the air was cool and damp. The team set up a small camp, taking a moment to rest. The sound of the waterfall was loud, but it felt safe. Rian looked at Nira, feeling closer to her than before. "You have been very brave," he said softly. Nira smiled, a little tired but warm. "I have no choice. My people depend on me." The moment was quiet but full of meaning. For the first time, Rian saw her not only as a princess or a mission, but as someone he cared about deeply. They knew they could not stay long. The enemy would not give up. Rian studied the maps again, planning their next move. "We must reach the settlement soon," he said. "The longer we stay here, the greater the risk." Nira agreed. "My people will help us. They will know what to do." The next morning, the team prepared to leave. The jungle was alive with light and sound. Birds sang, and small animals moved in the underbrush. It was a beautiful world, but full of dangers. As they moved forward, Rian kept his weapon ready. The memory of the enemy machines haunted him. He would not let anything happen to Nira. Suddenly, they came to a wide clearing. In the center was a small group of People's settlers waiting with open arms. Their faces were kind, their expressions filled with hope and relief. Nira ran forward to meet them. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice full of emotion. Rian watched quietly. He saw the joy in Nira's eyes. For a moment, everything felt right, but the mission was not over. One of the settlers approached Rian. "You have done well to bring the princess here, but the enemy will not stop. They are gathering forces. We must prepare." Rian nodded. "We will fight if we must." The settlers began to plan their defense. The air was filled with tension, but also determination. They would protect their home and the princess. That night, as the camp settled down, Rian sat beside Nira. The stars shone bright overhead, a silent promise of hope. "I did not expect to feel this way," Rian said quietly. "But being here with you, it changes everything." Nira looked at him with soft eyes. "I feel it too. We are more than allies now." They shared a moment of silence, understanding growing between them. The mission was bigger than either of them had thought. It was about trust, courage, and the possibility of something new. Outside, the jungle whispered its secrets. The future was uncertain, but together, they were ready to face it. The settlement lay quietly beneath the twin moons, nestled among tall trees and flowing streams. It was a small but strong community of Zeleri loyal to Princess Nira. They welcomed Commander Rian and his team with open arms, grateful for their courage and hope. For days, the settlement prepared for what was coming. The enemy's forces were gathering, and soon they would have to defend their home. But amid the plans and training, something new grew between Rian and Nira. Each morning, Rian woke to the soft light of the moons filtering through the leaves. He found himself walking to where Nira often stood near the edge of the settlement, looking at the stars. Sometimes she was silent, lost in thought. Other times she smiled gently, and when she saw him, her eyes sparkled. One morning, Rian joined her quietly. "The stars are different here," he said. Nira turned to him, a small smile playing on her lips. "Yes, they remind me of home and hope." They stood side by side, watching the sky. For a moment, no words were needed. Days passed, and their conversations grew deeper. They shared stories of their world's Earth, with its blue oceans and green forests, and Zeleri, with its silver cities and peaceful traditions. They spoke of dreams and fears, of what it meant to lead and to protect. Rian learned that Nira was not just a princess, but a leader who cared deeply for her people. She was strong but gentle, wise beyond her years. He admired her courage and kindness. Nira saw something in Rian to a man who was brave but kind, who fought with honor and respected life. She felt safe with him, and slowly, a quiet trust grew. One afternoon, as the sun set and painted the sky in colors of orange and pink, Rian and Nira walked through the gardens of the settlement. Flowers of strange shapes and bright colors surrounded them. The air was filled with a sweet scent. "Tell me," Nira asked softly, "what is your greatest hope?" Rian thought for a moment. "Peace. For my world and yours. For all who live in the stars." Nira nodded. I share that hope. But peace is hard to find when fear rules hearts. Rian looked at her with steady eyes. Then we must be the ones to bring courage and hope. They stopped by a small pond. The water clear and calm, the reflection of the moon shimmered on the surface. You inspire me, Rian, Nira said quietly. You give me strength when I am afraid. He reached out and gently took her hand. The touch was soft, but it spoke volumes. In that moment, both knew their bond had deepened beyond duty. Their peaceful time was not without challenges. The settlement worked hard to prepare defenses. Rian trained the fighters, sharing Earth's tactics and technology. Nira inspired her people, reminding them of their courage and unity. One evening, as they practiced drills, a sudden alarm rang through the camp. Scouts had spotted enemy forces moving closer. Rian's face hardened. It is time. Nira stood beside him, strong and ready. We fight for our home. The community gathered, armed and determined. Rian looked around, seeing not just soldiers, but families and friends who believed in their cause. The enemy arrived under the cover of darkness. The battle was fierce, but the settlement was prepared. Rian and Nira fought side by side, their movements in perfect sync. During the fight, Rian protected Nira from danger, and she inspired him with her bravery. Together, they led their people with courage. When the enemy finally retreated, the settlement was safe, but the cost was clear. Wounds needed tending, and the air was heavy with relief and sorrow. That night, Rian and Nira sat together, the stars watching over them. We have much to do, Rian said softly. Nira nodded. But we are not alone. Together, we are strong. They talked long into the night, sharing hopes for the future and each other. They found not only a partner, but a friend and something deeper. Their bond was no longer just about a mission. It was about trust, respect, and the promise of a new beginning. As the moons rose higher, the two sat close, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united and hopeful. The sun rose slowly over the Zoleri settlement, casting soft golden light across the trees and houses. The air was calm, but beneath the peace, tension was building. Commander Rian had a strange feeling in his chest since morning. Something did not feel right. For days, the people of the settlement had worked hard to repair the damage from the last enemy attack. Rian stayed busy helping the builders, checking security systems, and training the guards. Princess Nira also worked with her people, speaking with leaders, listening to stories, and giving hope to those who had lost loved ones. Though their days were full of duties, Rian and Nira still found time to talk in the evenings. They often sat under the stars, where words were not always needed. Their bond had grown strong, built on trust, respect, and something neither of them had expected to feel during a war. Love. But that morning, something had changed. Rian was walking toward the central command tent when Mira, his navigator and friend, met him with a serious look on her face. We received a message from the Earth Coalition, she said quietly. It came through a secure line. Rian stopped. What did they say? Mira hesitated before answering. They are ordering us to return to the ship and bring the princess back to Earth. They want her immediately. No questions asked. Rian frowned. Why now? We are in the middle of something bigger than they understand. She is not ready to leave. Her people need her. Mira looked down. They believe her presence on Earth will help in political talks. They say it will bring balance and peace. But they don't know the whole story. Rian took a deep breath. He had given his life to the Earth Coalition, but for the first time, he felt their orders did not match what was right. He could not force Nira to leave her people. She was more than a symbol. She was a leader, a daughter, and someone he had come to care about deeply. I won't do it, he said firmly. We stay here. We protect her. Mira nodded. I'll stand with you. Later that day, Rian met Nira near the edge of the forest. She was walking alone, thinking quietly. When she saw him, she smiled. You look troubled, she said gently. Rian stepped closer. A message came from Earth. They want me to take you back. Immediately, Nira's smile faded. So the time has come. I told them no. Rian said, you're not just a mission. You're needed here. and I promise to protect you, not take you away from your home." Nira's eyes softened. "Thank you. You have given me more than safety. You've given me something to believe in." Before they could say more, a loud noise came from the center of the settlement. Shouts filled the air. Something was wrong. Rian and Nira ran back quickly. As they reached the command tent, they saw the guards struggling to hold someone back. It was one of the Earth soldiers from Rian's ship, a man named Leonard. "What is going on?" Rian demanded. Leonard shouted, "You are disobeying the coalition. This is betrayal. I'm taking the princess by force." Rian stepped in front of Nira. "You will not touch her." Leonard raised his weapon, but the guards quickly surrounded him. Rian walked up to him. Slowly, his voice calm but firm. "We protect life here, not destroy it for orders we do not understand. You have forgotten why we came." Leonard's face was full of anger. "You've let your feelings blind you." Rian looked at him. "No, I've let my heart guide me to what's right." The guards took Leonard away, and silence fell over the camp. People looked at Rian with respect, and some with fear. They now knew the truth. The Earth Coalition might not be the only threat. That night, Rian sat alone near the edge of the settlement. His thoughts were heavy. He had broken a direct order, and now he was marked as a traitor by the very people he once served. But in his heart, he felt no guilt. Nira found him sitting on a flat stone, looking up at the stars. "You risked everything," she said quietly. He looked at her. "You were never just a mission. You are someone I trust, someone I care about." Nira sat beside him. "And you are no longer just a soldier. You are part of this world now." They sat together in silence. No words were needed. Their hands touched gently, and in that touch, they found strength. The next morning, the people of the settlement gathered. Nira stood before them, proud and calm. "We face a new danger now," she said, "not only from those who wish to harm us, but from those who do not understand us. But we will not run. We will not hide. We will stand together." Rian stood beside her. The people nodded, their eyes full of trust. The betrayal had shaken them, but it had also revealed something important. The unity was stronger than fear. And now, with Rian and Nira standing as one, their hope was brighter than ever. The forest was quiet, but the silence did not bring peace. The people of the Zulari settlement knew the enemy was preparing for another attack. This time, it would be bigger and stronger. The enemy had learned that Princess Nira was not alone. She had defenders, loyal people, and now a human soldier who stood beside her like a wall of strength. Commander Rian walked through the settlement early in the morning. The sky was cloudy and the wind cold. He stopped near the center, where a group of Zulari and Earth crew members were training together. Spears and shields from the Zulari were now being mixed with energy weapons and tech from Earth. The two worlds were no longer divided. They were preparing as one. Nira stood near the training field, speaking to the elders and warriors. Her words were full of calm power. "We may be small in number, but our hearts are strong. This land is our home. We do not fight for pride. We fight for peace." Rian walked up to her as the crowd began to move away. She looked at him, her silver eyes filled with both love and concern. "They are ready," she said, "but they are still afraid." "Fear is normal," Rian answered. "Even I feel it sometimes. But courage is what we choose to do in spite of that fear." Nira nodded. "I'm glad you're here. I can feel your strength even when you say nothing." Just then, Mir arrived with an urgent message. "We picked up movement on the long-range scanner. A large force is coming. They will be here by nightfall." Rian looked at Nira. "Then we have little time. Let's prepare everyone." That day moved fast. Traps were placed at the edges of the forest. Hidden tunnels were checked. Medical supplies were prepared. Everyone had a task. Even the children helped by carrying food and water to the fighters. Rian and Nira worked side by side. They made sure the defense lines were strong and that no area was left open. Rian also gave a short speech to both the Earth soldiers and the Zulari fighters. "We come from different worlds," he said, "but today we fight for the same reason. We fight for freedom, for peace, and for the lives of those we love, stand strong. Not just with your weapons, but with your hearts. As the sun began to set, dark shapes appeared on the horizon. The enemy had arrived. Their machines were tall, their soldiers many. They came with weapons ready and faces covered. They believed this small group would be easy to crush, but they were wrong. The first attack came fast. Heavy fire hit the outer walls of the settlement, but the defenses held. Traps exploded beneath enemy walkers, and Zeleri arrows flew with perfect aim. Earth tech shields protected the front lines. Rion moved quickly across the battlefield, giving orders and helping where the fight grew heavy. Nira stayed close to her people, lifting their spirits with every word and action. Her presence gave them courage. At one point, an enemy machine broke through the outer wall. It began to fire at anything that moved. Rion ran straight toward it, dodging blasts and climbing onto its side with a small energy blade. He cut through a weak point and threw a charge inside. The machine shook, then burst into flames. Rion jumped away just in time. Nira ran to him. "You could have died." Rion smiled. "I couldn't let that thing hurt our people." Hours passed. The battle grew more difficult. The enemy began to push harder, using every weapon they had. But the defenders did not give up. Wounded fighters returned to the front lines. Families stood together, refusing to be separated. As night deepened, the tide began to turn. The enemy was not prepared for such strong resistance. Slowly, they began to fall back. Their machines were broken. Their soldiers were tired, and their leaders could see that they were losing. Finally, a deep horn sounded from the enemy side. It was a retreat signal. The battle was over. The settlement had won. Cheers rose from every corner. Tears and laughter filled the air. People hugged each other. Some knelt to thank the stars. Others simply stood, too tired to speak but grateful to be alive. Nira stood in the center of it all, proud and strong. Rion stood beside her, his uniform dirty and torn, but his eyes full of light. "We did it," she whispered. "We did it together." Rion replied. Later that night, the fires burned low, and the stars returned to the sky. Rion and Nira walked through the quiet paths of the village. The danger had passed, but their journey was not yet over. "What will you do now?" Nira asked him. Rion looked up at the stars. "I was sent here to save a princess, but I found a leader, a warrior, and someone I don't want to leave." Nira took his hand. "Then don't." Their fingers stayed locked together, warm and steady. In that moment, they knew that their story had changed. It was no longer just about war or missions. It was about unity, about love, about two people from different worlds building something new together. And as they stood under the peaceful sky, they felt hope rise again. The first light of dawn touched the sky as the Zeleri settlement slowly came back to life. The long night of battle was behind them. The land was quiet again. Birds sang softly in the trees. Children played near the river, their laughter bringing peace after so much fear. Commander Rion walked through the village paths, nodding to the people who greeted him with smiles and thanks. Though tired, his heart felt light. The settlement had survived. Their courage had defeated a much stronger enemy, but Rion knew the fight had changed more than just the land. It had changed him. He stopped near a small garden where Nira was helping the healers prepare herbs. She looked up when she saw him and smiled warmly. Her silver eyes were calm, filled with peace and quiet joy. "You are up early," she said. "So, are you?" he replied, walking closer. "There's much to do," she said. "Many wounded still need care. Homes must be rebuilt, and people need to know their leaders are with them." Rion looked around. "They follow you because they believe in you." Nira stood and wiped her hands. "No, they believe in hope and in unity. That is something we build together." They walked together through the peaceful streets. The sky was clear and bright everywhere. Zeleri and human crew members worked side by side. What began as a rescue mission had now become a shared future. As they reached the village center, Mira ran up to them holding a datapad. "There is a message from Earth," she said. Rion and Nira both turned toward her. Mira continued. "They know what happened. They know about the battle, and they're asking to speak with both of you." Rian took the datapad and read the message. It was from the Earth Coalition leaders. They had received reports of the enemy's defeat, and they now understood the true value of the alliance between humans and the Zeleri. They want peace talks. Rian said, "Real talks. They're asking Nira to help build a future between our worlds." Nira's face was calm, but thoughtful. "This is what we hoped for. Not more battles, but understanding." "They finally see who you are," Rian said. "They see who we are," Nira replied. A few days later, a small ship from Earth arrived. It carried peaceful envoys, not soldiers. They brought gifts, supplies, and open hands. The settlement welcomed them with both caution and hope. Nira met with the envoys in the council hall. Rian stood by her side, not as her guard, but as her equal. The talks began with quiet voices, but soon grew into shared ideas. Plans were made to connect Earth and Zeleri through trade, culture, and education. One of the envoys asked Nira a question during the final meeting. "Will you come with us to Earth, Princess Nira? Will you help us show the people of Earth that your kind is not a threat, but a friend?" Nira looked at Rian before she answered. Then she turned to the envoy. "Yes," she said, "but I will not go alone. I go as a leader of my people, and I go with someone who helped me believe in peace." Rian stepped forward, his face calm. "I will go too," he said, "not as a soldier this time, but as someone who believes in a future where our worlds walk together." And so, it was decided. In the weeks that followed, the settlement grew. Stronger, Earth engineers helped rebuild stronger homes. Zeleri healers shared their knowledge of medicine. Children from both worlds played together without fear. On the day of departure, the entire settlement gathered near the landing platform. Flowers were placed around the ship. Songs were sung. It was not a goodbye, but a beginning. Nira stood at the base of the ship, looking at her people. "This is not the end," she said. "This is a step forward, a step toward light after darkness. I will carry your hopes with me, and I promise to return." Rian stood beside her. Mira, and a few others from the crew, would stay to help guide the settlement. They had all found a new home among the XELARI as the ship lifted into the sky. Rian looked out the window. The trees became smaller, the rivers like silver lines. He took Nira's hand and held it gently. "We started as strangers," he said. "We became something more," Nira replied. "We became a bridge." When the ship reached space, the stars welcomed them once again. Earth was waiting ahead, and with it, a future no one had expected when this journey began. Rian thought about how it all started a mission, a simple order to find and rescue. But instead, he had found something far greater, a reason to believe, a person to stand beside. A new path died as they flew through the stars. Nira rested her head on his shoulder. "Whatever comes next," she whispered, "we face it together." Rian smiled, always, and so, under the endless sky, two hearts from different worlds began a new chapter, one not built by fear or war, but by love, trust, and hope for a better tomorrow.